It's not that we just want to keep pumping in money even beyond the fact that it makes sense. I actually really wanted to get a job in the UK, but the year I was leaving was the year Brexit happened and it was impossible. I actually think monetizing a community is impossible in India. Again, in India, 26% of our workforce is only women.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Breaking Uneven podcast. We love to talk shop, uncover the beauty of failures and play a few games. Today we have with us Carina Kohli, the founder of Humm Care. Carina, are you excited to be?
I'm very excited.
We're really happy to have you on. And I must say your journey so far has had a large range. From the textiles industry to chocolates to security seals, healthcare, you've covered it all. And in the true entrepreneurial spirit, looking across HR, brand, growth, accounts, and a lot more. So is that a good description of what you've done so far?
Wow, you guys have really done your homework. Yeah, I think for me, I knew I always wanted to build something. Growing up with parents who are both entrepreneurs in their own fields and growing up in just a business family, I think I always knew I wanted to start something of my own, build something, but I wasn't actually sure what that product would be. I knew I really cared about women's health, having dealt with my own fair share of issues when it comes to women's health as well. But in terms of experience, I think for me, my kind of intent or my goal with my work experience was just to learn as much as I possibly could. So anything and everything in the business world would, attract me to want to try to learn, whether it's accounting or whether it's marketing. I think everything is such an important piece of the puzzle. So that was kind of how I looked at things I wanted to try before I started.
No, fair, makes sense, right? To try everything because you're going to do that as an entrepreneur anyways. Yeah. But yeah, Humm Care is what has brought you here. So let's dive into a smaller game to learn a little bit more about what Humm Care is.
Okay.
So this game is called the Twitter Pitch Challenge. Basically, Twitter is known for its 280 character limit on every tweet, which sometimes makes it a little difficult to convey your thoughts. So it takes about 20 seconds to speak 280 characters, and that's the challenge that we're transferring to you, which is to explain to us Humm Care in 20 seconds. But it's not that easy. You also need to use one emoji and one hashtag in your tweet.
Great. Okay.
Cool. Are you ready? So Janvi is going to show you a timer to intimidate you a little bit.
Okay. Go for it.
3, 2, 1, go.
Humm Care handshake emoji is the future of family building healthcare and women's health through the entire family building journey. Fertility, family planning, pregnancy, postpartum care for people and organizations. Hashtag healthcare.
Yes, that was 18 seconds. So,
solid.
Okay.
Yeah, under 20, and that's what the goal was. But yeah, really good description in terms of what you're focused on, right? And I liked how you said it was for people and organizations and not just
organization.
Yeah. But before we get into Humm Care, a little bit more about you and where you started from. So we went through your LinkedIn and we picked out a certificate that you have.
Oh God.
It's the Break Even and Cost Volume Profit Analysis certification. And obviously we picked this out because of the Breaking Uneven podcast. So what does a break even analysis serve to do as per you?
Wow. I think I did this certification 6 years ago, which was I think some LinkedIn course that I was exploring. Very honestly, I think impact, of course, is the center of what we do and my purpose and Humm's kind of mission. But of course, we are building a business and numbers are very, very important. So for me, I think that kind of course was understanding that journey and that business trajectory, when we actually would break even, how to kind of get there, just understanding a little bit about that graph.
Yeah.
That's honestly as much as I can tell you about it because it was such a long time ago. But I think when it comes to breaking even, it's really important that the numbers make sense. And that's essentially the kind of business we're building at Humm as well. It's it's a lean company. We care about numbers and we care about delivery and execution. So it's not that we just want to keep pumping in money even beyond the fact that it makes sense and we have no sight of when we're going to break even. We actually currently make money on every single order and every single client that we have. So that was kind of why I wanted to do that and the way we look at how we want to run this company.
Yeah, fair enough. And that's exciting that like y'all are making money on every single client you have. When we started Breaking Uneven, we called it Breaking Uneven because we were like thinking of reasons why business is more than the break even point.
Yeah.
And historically, that was where most businesses define their success. So for you, how much of your success do you rely on like the breaking even part of it? And do you still use it as a measure of success for your business?
I actually agree with what you said. I think a business, it's important to understand the bigger vision instead of like, oh, are we breaking even today? But as a bootstrap startup, right? We actually just were in the middle of our seed round. We can't talk about it yet, but we will be announcing that in January or Feb. But as a bootstrapped company, especially a company that we were still figuring out what our product was back when we started in 2020. So it was very important to me that we find a way to become this kind of self-sustaining entity instead of just kind of pumping in money. And that was important to me. Of course, as you scale a company and grow, it's hard to break even every single, stage or series that you raise, right? But for me, it was just very important when we were figuring out our product market fit, when we were figuring out our product, and just as a bootstrapped company.
Yeah, we get more into the break-even angle because if you see like in finance, even today, you're taught like net present value, you're taught payback period, you're taught about like the break-even point.
Of course.
And I think in terms of like if you take a business like Uber, right, those numbers for Uber just don't add up to the valuation. So it was kind of to understand that there is value that you're creating beyond the numbers, but like at the end of the day, if the business is not making money, then what's the end goal? Yeah, exactly. So that's why we wanted to just get in. We know it was a long time ago, but it was kind of to understand what your mindset for that is. But so coming to your mindset, as a founder today, you've since the start of your career in the textile industry, you've chosen to like go beyond one particular department. You did a rotational program. So how does that why did you choose to go in that direction from the beginning, and how does that affect you as a founder today?
Interesting. So after university, I actually really wanted to get a job in the UK. I think that was the work experience I wanted. But the year I was leaving was the pure Brexit happened, and it was impossible to get a work permit, right? Impossible. So when I actually came home, I of course met, a bunch of people looking for opportunities, wanting to see what's out there, the options, and this opportunity stood out because the entire concept of rotational is that you get to learn many things, and that's what attracted me to it the most. I think learning in a manufacturing company, learning how to kind of build, because it was manufacturing a company of textiles. So that actually really attracted me because I felt like there's so many facets from the product angle, the manufacturing angle, to then the marketing and execution. So that was why I joined, and it was the rotational factor that really attracted me. I obviously didn't know what I was in for. I also wasn't particularly attracted to the textile bit because I didn't know that that was what I wanted to do. But it was just the kind of role, and it was an amazing opportunity where I learned a lot.
Yeah, I think like for me, the way I look at myself as a founder is I'm not like particularly, I don't care about a particular industry. Like if there's a business and there's a model, then I'm happy to like explore it regardless of the industry. And I feel like even you, because of your range of industry experience and then finally picking healthcare, also have that kind of mindset. Like if there's kind of a business to be done, money to be made, we'll figure it out.
And to learn, right? Like the best part about doing new things is all the new things you can learn.
Yep, 100%. So obviously that experience of yours was crucial, but today as a founder, if you had to pick like one kind of department let's say in a large company, right, like whether it's marketing or accounts or finance, HR, whatever it might be, which one would you pick?
How do founders answer that question? I think
You had to. Gun to your head, you have to pick one department. Like, what do you find the most exciting?
Wow. Product.
Product.
It's I can get lost in just building and exploring all the things we can do. So 100% product.
Yeah, you like going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah. But that being said, currently I can't choose.
No, fair enough. But yeah, speaking about product and coming to Humm Care, it started off as Baby Space and then became Humm Care. So did the business pivot when that transition happened, or was it just a rebranding?
Oh, okay. So I can actually give you a little bit of context as well of how we started. So Baby Space was kind of this brainchild that I had based on my experiences, research I did, my passion when it comes to just looking at healthcare with a gender equitable lens. I want to make sure that women have equal access to high quality care and something that's personalized to them and their needs. Baby Space was a very, very simple web application. We call it the beta version now, VVVVV1. Kind of embarrassing to look at now. But there was no business model. There was no specific idea or goal we had other than to spread awareness during COVID. If you remember, the first two waves of COVID were traumatic globally for everyone. Our healthcare system was on complete overload, and I remember I had a friend who was pregnant at the time, and she couldn't get in touch with her OBGYN. She had so many questions about, can I get vaccinated if I'm pregnant? How do I breastfeed if I have COVID? Will my baby be okay? And I remember just saying, you know what, I'm just going to start something. I want to just build something to help get awareness, and it needs to be doctor verified. And I think that was very important to us back in the day because, of course, we all have access to the internet, and you can go through this spiral of everything, and everything leads to a headache. Somehow the outcome is, it's a very severe, disease.
Always a fatal disease.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what the point of Baby Space was a web application to build awareness and get doctor verified information out there. Kind of also build a community because everyone was very lonely during COVID. I wasn't even sure that this was going to turn into Humm or our company. It grew to about 17,000 people in a matter of, I think, 2-3 months organically. Wow. And it was a very strange kind of experience to have that. And that was when I sat up and I was like, clearly there's something to be done here. Put a small team together, started doing a lot of market research. We put together an interesting study of about 640 couples and parents in India to understand what they needed, what was missing in the market, and the kind of care they were looking for. Cut to early last year, we launched Humm Care as a healthcare organization. We actually launched B2C first. Again, very tough to kind of crack in the Indian market, given how expensive customer acquisition is. But one of our clients, who I can't name, came to us, again, a Fortune 5 company, and they said, hey, can you do this for our employees? And can't dive a lot deeper into that due to confidentiality, but that was our aha moment into the B2B world, and that's how we launched.
A little bit before we, I guess, go back to like the B2B space, I wanted to talk about the community angle of things. Like you said, you built a community during a COVID, and like 17,000 people in like 2-3 months is really, it's incredible to gain that traction so fast. So what are your thoughts on not necessarily B2C as consumer, but B2C as business to community? Like, do you think that's the next wave of things?
Wow, that's going to be a controversial answer. I actually think monetizing a community is impossible in India. That's just my opinion. Yeah. I think we are a little different to the West, specifically when it comes to culturally, and also the commercial angle of things. I think, especially when it comes to healthcare, right, we're dealing with a very sensitive matter, family building, certain aspects of women's health, child's health. Awareness is not, prevalent to a large extent when it comes to certain topics. And I also think access to primary forms of healthcare it's not prevalent, right? It's not a lot. So I think when it comes to this space, specifically healthcare, I don't particularly think community is the first priority or the route to get there. I do think building a community is important in general, because I think feeling less alone, creating, awareness, a community of healthy conversation, open conversation is so, so important. So we definitely still do that at Humm. But in terms of GTM, our learnings of the space have kind of shown us otherwise. But I also think it depends on your product.
Yeah,
100%.
Fair enough.
I think for me, my business is also like really community based. Like we do a lot of, we basically appeal to all the creative communities, and it's kind of like the way we look at it is we're not monetizing on the community, we're just creating value for them.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's slightly different to exactly the way they do it in the West, which is straight up like quite direct. Here it's like you still have to just, whether you're creating value for an entire community or a particular consumer, it's kind of just like you can group your target audience or not group them. That's the way we look at it.
And it also depends on your product, right? The more sensitive things are, people really prioritize confidentiality, privacy, right? So I think it really depends.
Especially in this situation. Exactly. Like, I think people can have very like tough moments when they are like either doing family planning or like going through anything in this space. So I guess it can go both ways, because you want to find people that are going through something similar so that you feel reassured, but at the same time, it's something so sensitive and personal that you don't necessarily want to share with everyone either. So it's like striking that balance between finding someone that you can connect with versus also keeping it personal and private. So,
absolutely.
And I genuinely feel like, unfortunately, in India, the stigma around being open about your like health, mental health, anything is still quite high.
It's very high.
It's like, again, like if there is like, because you're appealing again to a range of the kind of people, I feel like there's a lot of ignorance as well from like urban populations around the stigma. They're like, it doesn't 100%. Exist anymore, but it does. Like for the masses, it's like it's still at like peak level.
Yeah. So, honestly, you'd be surprised, and we've been in this space now for almost 4 years, but the stigma is extremely high, even in urban India, and educated, homes, families, people's lives. Of course, it's for years and years and years, culturally, we have been kind of conditioned to think in a certain manner and, process things a certain way, consider things hush-hush to a certain way. So urban India, 100% the stigma exists. And then going beyond that, which is the dream, right? That's our India, and that's how we're building for our country. That's a very different conversation, because it's even more.
No, I fully agree, and I feel like where urban India like is really not at all a representation of India, and I say this quite often, is like if you can understand the ethos of larger India, that's the only time you can actually do anything here. Like whether it's building a company or appealing to people, it's you have to understand like 1.8 billion people, not like 5 million people.
100%. Yeah.
All right. So our next challenge is 2 truths and a lie. To understand a little more about your journey or your journey with Humm Care, we will ask you to give us 3 statements, amongst which 2 of them are the actual truth, and then 1 of them is a lie. This can be anything from achievements, challenges, personal, Humm Care, whatever you wish for it to be. So, and then we'll have to guess which one is the lie.
Great. Okay, so I'm a very bad liar, which is what I want to start with. Hence, I've written down my points. I spent a couple of minutes doing that. So the first one, I didn't come up with the name Humm Care myself. Second, I spoke to 1,000 women one-on-one when I was starting out and doing research. Third, I'm a night owl and I love working at night.
I would say the second one is true, given that she said that she worked with 640 couples for a research paper. So like 200, 300 extra people possible.
Yeah.
Like 300, 400 extra people possible. So I'd say 1,000 people is true before.
Possible. I would say the first one is probably true, because a lot of founders don't name their own companies. Like they pick something from what someone has said in a conversation that they love.
Yeah.
So And the third one was
night owl. So are we saying that's the lie? That you're
Yeah.
not a
you're not a
yeah,
night owl. Let's
Yeah.
go with that. You're a
That's
morning
right.
person.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are spot on. I'm definitely not a night owl. I need sleep, or I can't function the next day. But yeah,
You also
Okay.
chose the earlier slot for like
Today?
the 11 a.m. slot.
I was ready to come at 9. You would have me. But yeah, I didn't actually come up with the name. My sister did. This was when we were rebranding, and she came up with the name Humm. And I think it took us a bit of time to love it because we were so used to baby space. But then something about it just had a personality, and
Yep.
Yeah.
it felt warmer.
Yeah.
Of course, it means us in Hindi, which
Yeah.
is so important. But that's how the name happened.
Cool. What was the thought behind like renaming it? Like, why did you want to change?
I think baby space was too limiting and it wasn't inclusive enough,
Fair.
honestly. And now what we do at Humm, whether it is for single parents, same-sex couples, couples looking to adopt, exploring fertility options, and then of course moving into women's health things like PCOS, endometriosis, thyroid, menopause, and then of course parenthood. I didn't think baby space was inclusive enough to everyone's unique journey. And I think we were just kind of looking for a warm feel that had a personality, you know, and Humm Care, while is our name, Humm could also be a cute little mascot. So, that's how it started. Yeah.
No, I feel like Humm is also like baby space could potentially be the name of a toy store as well, right? Like it's not like direct, and Humm Care is like, you know, it's about, if nothing else, you know, it's about caring. So, and that's good enough to like understand what you're about.
And you're covering so much more than just like babies.
Just baby.
Yeah.
Correct.
So as you said, like it needed to be a little more inclusive for everything that y'all were covering as well. But on your second point of speaking to 1,000 women, so you said that you spoke to 640 couples for research, and then also like 1,000 women in total. Like, how did you go about doing that? Where did you find like these people, and what was like that journey?
Honestly, it was shocking because when I came back from university, I spent a little bit of time doing research because I knew I cared about this space, but I didn't know what aspect, you know, or what was missing. Honestly, I just messaged people on Instagram and Facebook.
Oh, really?
A very strange thing to do, frowned upon, people would say. But I just reached out to a bunch of people who were expecting, who were pregnant, put out like a Google ad, a Google form. And I spent a lot of time. I lost my voice a few times. But it was amazing because people were open to talking and chatting. We, of course, had, you know, a survey that we built as well. We did a lot of group discussions, focus group discussions, and then a lot of one-on-one. But it was very random. I just messaged everybody. And that's how it happened.
Were these also strangers, or were they just
they were
friends?
all strangers.
Yeah.
Oh, like I would say probably like 10% were people we knew.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes people are more comfortable talking about like being more open with a stranger because like the stranger doesn't have context to your life, and like it just allows you to be a little more free with what you're saying.
Yeah. Oh, and I made a mistake. It wasn't only women. We did talk to men as well, and fathers.
Of course.
Okay, so
I had more lies. Oh, it was just one we needed.
Yes.
I prepped 2 more.
Okay.
So like you got 2 more sets of 3 statements. Let's do it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Fine. Okay. The next one is I love camping and hitchhiking.
Okay.
Second is I find the underwater world intimidating and kind of scary. And then the third is I find The Shining, directed by Stanley Kubrick, really calming to watch.
I wish the third one is a lie.
You wish.
Could be a lie.
I don't think it is though.
No, it could
If
be
you're a
lie.
morning person, you'd probably love camping and hiking. I feel like.
Whoa, the generalization.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like
And stereotyping.
Yeah, it's quite a stereotype.
Really? I feel like I'm not saying that like only morning people can do camping. I'm saying generally like if you like because for trekking and stuff you have to like wake up early many times.
So it's still outdoorsy.
Yeah. Fair. Okay.
She's just trying to confuse you.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know.
So yeah, it was camping. Sorry, what was the second one?
I find the underwater world intimidating and scary.
Oh,
I'm gonna
God.
put a timer, guys.
Okay, fine. Let's just go with.
I'm gonna say the underwater is a lie.
Yeah, that's a lie.
No, that's true.
You find that intimidating.
The concept of diving, I find really intimidating because we also just don't know what's out there,
yeah.
and it's so random and dark, you know.
Yeah. No, I get that.
So
I had
that
a panic
quite
attack when I went
scary.
scuba diving once. So
Oh wow.
I get that.
Okay, no, I'm petrified. And I really don't like the concept of hiking and camping. I've watched and read way too many horror stories to do that kind of stuff in the dark, in the random space.
Fair.
And I love The Shining.
I've never watched it, and I don't think I could ever watch it.
It's an amazing movie. You should watch it.
But yeah, the third one.
We'll do the third one. Okay. Our team is still completely virtual, and some of us have only met online. Second, our team members are a majority of women. And the third, I'm very comfortable with the concept of winging it and making things up as I go along.
I'm gonna go with the team is remote as the lie.
As a lie?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go with the third one. I feel like maybe you like to plan stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, I thought of that, but then I was like, maybe I play the games of numbers if like the third one was a lie the first time.
I did not think like that when I wrote
She had a 12:05 hard stop. Like 12 or like, you know, like 12, 15, like 12:05.
Yeah, I'm
that's a
very
plan.
type A. Yeah. Extreme. I don't know how you can't be type A if you're like building something.
Yeah, I get that.
Extremely type A and like on. To the extent sometimes I'm like, oh, pretend to be more chill, Carina. And what were the other ones?
Your team began online.
Yeah, well, some of them have only met. I've met everyone now, but some of us have only met online, which is insane.
Yeah,
but now we're moving into hybrid. So that'll be nice.
Nice. Yeah. And then the second one was?
It's consistent majority of women.
Yeah, that was very important to me because again, in India, 26% of our workforce is only women, and we are a minority. And it's something that it is our goal and our mission at Humm to bring more women to re-enter the workforce, specifically, and again, diving a little bit into work. But maternity is the number one reason women end up quitting their careers, and they're just the workforce in entirety. So it is our goal, and it's very important to me to have women on an equal, if not more.
It's also a reason why many people don't hire women as well, because they expect them to take either maternity leave or
not come back.
Yeah. So,
and at Humm, what we do is we ensure and we support women to come back after maternity and make sure we fill in that void and mediate between the employee and employer.
Yeah.
Because it's really important to break that vicious cycle of women not coming back, so people not hiring, so then women not having independence and financial independence. So, yeah.
Okay. So now moving on to red flags.
Okay.
We're going to give you 3 hypothetical situations composed of 2 things that are going good and 1 that's a red flag.
Okay.
You have to assume that these statements are true, and we've adapted them for you and Humm Care. And then you have to pick which of these situations you would rather be in.
Okay.
So situation 1, Humm Care has more than 5,000 individuals registered. You are working with more than 100 organizations, but your pricing model is starting to break down at the scale. Situation 2, your tools and tracker have spun off into a separate subscription business. You have taken care of more than 10,000 pregnancy cares, but your last few reviews have been below average. And then last is situation 3. Humm Care is raising a round of funding. Your newsletter is actively helping empower parents, but you aren't able to find experts to join your team lately. So these are the 3 situations, and you have to choose which one you would rather be in.
Okay. I thought which one's a red flag, and I was going to be like all. I would say I would potentially rather be in situation 2, where our reviews have been below average, because we could definitely set up a bunch of ways to proactively find a solution to this and figure out what's going wrong. Anyway, with our health concierge and our team, we ensure that every single user speaks to our team. We have an NPS system. We also figure out whether they're happy, whether they're not happy. We do quarterly reviews as well. So I think we would be able to troubleshoot this and figure out why it's below average and definitely prioritize it. I mean, honestly, user experience is the number one priority. Yeah. So we would just make that P1 and push.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Cool. Should we go on to the next and last? We're coming towards the end, so we're going to first start off with the rapid fire.
Okay.
Self-explanatory, quick questions, quick answers. So to begin, how many days of leave have you taken in the last year?
Like, what is leave? Sorry, define leave. Like
annual leave?
Zero work?
Yeah.
Zero?
Yeah.
No days. Zero days?
Zero.
Does that mean replying to emails is not a thing?
No.
Okay, zero.
Wow. I mean, I think it's tougher to delineate that between like when you're remote. Like for me, leave is if I don't come to office and I'm not working from home. That's leave for me.
But are you communicating any work-related aspects?
Yeah, I mean, that I think is unavoidable even on a Sunday.
Okay, so let's say you're allowed to email or reply to emails. Like, have you taken days off? Have you been on like holiday?
I don't want any days off though. Yeah. I'm okay.
You're doing something good then. Like
I wanna. I
like you could be sitting in Thailand but still replying to emails.
Even if I'm traveling or anything, I'm up 6 a.m. for meeting, like 5:30. But I want to.
Yeah, that's fun. Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. What was or is your proudest moment with Humm Care?
I think, to be honest, all of our days have these kind of pockets of moments whenever we know we've helped someone or whenever we've just, successfully been able to have a good consult and someone's been able to get the prescription they wanted or a solution they wanted. So again, we really love and care about our users. That's like number one. So every single time we get any positive kind of outcome through the care we give, I would say that's our biggest win time and time again.
Fair enough. Yeah. What was the one time you felt like you let Humm Care down?
I don't know. I feel like it's important to not have that mindset only because honestly, there are problems every day, right? Of course, we all have days where we feel like we're not good enough and not doing enough. And I think imposter syndrome is a very real thing. I deal with it all the time, especially being kind of this type A anxious personality where you always want to be on top of things. So I can't really remember one time, but there are definitely moments. But what's important in that situation is to pick yourself up and be like, you know what, that's temporary. But what we need to do is be proactive to figure out how to solve. But it's hard to pick one in a startup journey. It's really hard.
What's your single metric for success in general?
Impact.
What is the scrappiest thing you've done to build your business other than speaking to 1,000 people?
Oh, so many things. Find out where a particular person who I wanted to meet or speak to was and just wait around after his or her meeting just to say, hi, I'm Carina. Everything, right? Like we work tough hours, 4 a.m. airport, transportation, getting there, 40-hour trips. It's very common. And I feel like if you really care about what you do, you just do it.
Yeah.
And scrappiness, I think you should never not be scrappy, no matter how much money you have in the bank, no matter how many users you have or how big you are. Scrappiness should always be at the core of building a lean and intelligently built company.
100%. What was your emotion when you first let someone go?
I really was not happy about it. I think anyone who's on our team knows that we want them on for a very long time. And I want everyone to be a part of the big win and the big long journey. Very hard. I had also never done that before, right? On an individual level. So it was intimidating, but sometimes it's important and you have to do what's best for the company always and prioritize the company over your own emotions as well.
Yeah. What will you do with your first profit?
Put it back in the company. Is there anything else?
I don't know. It depends on the kind of founder you are. Do you prefer books or podcasts?
Ooh. I think they both do very different things. I read a lot, and not on Kindle. I love feeling that book and the paper in my hand. And podcasts, I actually enjoy watching more than listening.
Same, yeah.
I love that. I don't know how people don't watch.
Agreed, yeah.
Yeah, I think we do very different things. Sometimes when you want to get lost or fall asleep quicker, I prefer reading because I feel like it's better to be off technology. But podcasts are great for flights, sitting at airports, which I do a lot. So, yeah.
Do you prefer iPads or notebooks?
Oh, notebooks.
Notebooks. Yeah. And what's your favorite social media?
I don't know. WhatsApp?
Doesn't count.
Oh, doesn't count? What counts then?
Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter.
YouTube.
Okay,
YouTube.
I want to be techie and say Twitter, but that would be lying. I think Instagram is extremely addictive.
Yeah.
To the extent sometimes you need to be like...
Detox, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool, so that concludes our rapid fire segment,
Oh, that was fun.
which almost brings us to the end of our conversation, but we're not letting you go yet. We ask every guest of ours to ask our next guest a question.
Ooh.
So we're going to ask you your question. Like, we're going to show you the question that our previous guest asked you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to fire someone verbatim to the camera. What do you tell them? Come up with a name, come up with an entire speech, and give me the speech. I don't want to hear no advice. I want to hear what you're going to say.
Oh my
To
God.
let someone know.
That's not even what I had in mind for my question.
Yeah.
Okay, should I pretend it's one of you?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, who wants to get fired today?
Okay, I'll get fired.
Okay. So Anuj, I actually wanted to have a quick chat with you, and I'm sure you're already aware that there have been some differences that have been standing out, and we haven't been too happy with your delivery at the organization. There's been a lot of miscommunication as well, and I'm sure you already know that respect and honesty is very, very important to me, and I do not appreciate anyone who lies about anything. We have given you a bunch of opportunities to kind of try again. However, unfortunately, at this stage that we are in, I don't think you're the right fit for us. And of course, I truly, truly value the work that you've done, but I do think we need to set a boundary at some point, which you crossed. So unfortunately, we'll have to let you go, but I'd be happy to give you a letter of recommendation if you require. And I'm happy to have you on for another month until you find something else. But at this time, I think the road ends here.
Interesting.
Yeah.
How come you chose to go with honesty?
I don't know. Could be some experience you've had. I'm a person who honesty is very important. I can deal with anything, but not lies.
Yeah.
So I'd rather you tell me how bad you messed up, but do not lie.
I'm the exact same. Like the only time I have ever reprimanded someone is like people have delayed stuff and all of that, but the only time I actually reprimand someone, like where I get serious and I take them into the room, is like, hey, you can get delayed, you can do whatever, just don't lie. Like if I catch you in a lie, in my head, that's like, okay, this person is ready to be let go.
Yeah.
Like that's the immediate
I can't trust
thing. Yeah.
And trust and reliability is so important.
Yep.
Right? So
I felt so awkward. Like you can see me coming. Like, okay. Just in this room, I never
You were quite direct with it. Like you were very good with it. Like straight faced, direct. Maybe because it's not a real situation, but still,
but I'm also
I feel like
you could ask.
But she's calm. Like she's been the same throughout the conversation.
Like I had the same poker face during Two Lies, One Truth, Two Truths and a Lie as well.
Oh, so I wasn't that bad of a
No,
liar.
not at all.
Not at all. You should play poker.
Okay. How funny.
But yeah, that brings us to the end of the conversation.
I had so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you for giving us your time.
Yeah, and thank you for doing this. I think it's such an interesting conversation to be had about just building for India and building things. But yeah, thank you for having me and thanks for doing this.